Okay, welcome back, friends. We are on video 5 of this deck series. Now we're starting off in the shop in this video, one because it's just, we got fall front coming in, it's crazy windy out there, so I want to shoot the intro in the shop. Also, we're going to be starting the video off in the shop. Now before we get going, in this video we're going to finish up the soffit. So basically it's not really a soffit at this point. We're working on a big tall ceiling. We're going to get that done. It's going to take just a real brief part of the beginning of the video. Then we're going to jump into finishing out the framing of the deck on the skirt and then putting up all the cladding from Thermory. Now what I want to do is, I've had a lot of comments, emails, and questions specifically about the product. So I want to talk a little bit about the 3 specific products we're using from Thermory in this video series. Now if you're not familiar with the product, in video 2 I did a little overview of what thermally modified wood was all about, how it within the molecular structure of the wood, you're creating a product that's rot resistant, it's stable, it doesn't twist or warp a lot, and it also has a beautiful color. And to give you a reference, this back here I have the 3 pieces that I'm used in this build, and it's all ash. It's called thermally modified ash. Now to give you a reference point, this is a piece of Texas ash that I built a table out of recently, and you can see the color, right? This is almost white in color, not a lot of dark, just not dark at all. And the thermally modified ash is just this beautiful kind of a chocolate color, and it's real interesting how the process of how they cook this wood, essentially in a controlled way, they're burning the wood to create the stability and the rot resistance, and also it creates the color. So let's start off by, let's just start off with this particular piece. This is the 5/4 decking. This is what we used on all the deck flooring. In the last video we laid all this down. We're going to lay some of this down again in this video. So this is slightly over 1 inch thick. It's got the groove in it for the hardware, so you don't have to face nail, face screw anything. It's also got the JEM technology, which is joint in match. This allows you to use shorts. So my entire deck was built on pieces that were, this is a huge bundle of them here, and this is what, 2.5, this is 3 feet maybe? Yeah, 3 feet. So the JEM technology allows you to lock the joints together on the end and get a solid mechanical connection and span joists. So you don't have to splice boards on joists with this. You can be in the middle of 16-inch centers and it still has plenty of strength. So it's a really awesome technology that allows you to reduce waste, reduce the cost of installing a deck, and it just makes it much easier to install and to lay out, because you just go. You don't have to worry about thinking about what lengths you need, and it costs a lot less because you don't have to get long boards. And honestly, in my opinion, I think it looks better. I think it looks cool all tiled in together. So that's the deck flooring. In the last video, we started doing the soffit, which is a 1x4 porch. They call it porch flooring. This is just a standard run tongue and groove. I wouldn't say standard, because this one as well has the JEM technology on the end, just like the deck flooring. So I can clip this together. All of this doesn't really need that mechanical strength because it's on a ceiling. You're not walking on it. This is all screwed through the tongue. You don't see any fasteners in this, and it has a nice little chamfer detail at the edge where the boards match. So this is 1x4 porch flooring. So today what we're going to work with too as well is the skirting, or Thermory calls this cladding. This is their 1x6 cladding C20, and this is probably my favorite looking product that I got from them. I love them all, but this one's so cool because if you look at the tongue setup, it's kind of like a tongue and groove. This side has a much deeper tongue. I have to look at it on the end if I can get it in focus. So you can see it right there. You see how the tongue's kind of offset? So this would be the front face of your product. This would go to the back, and it would drop down and leave about 1/4 inch reveal between your boards, and it looks so clean. It's creating a lot of talk. People are messaging me about it. It's definitely cool, quality product that I have been very fortunate to get to work with. So that's enough talking for the intro. We're gonna jump in right now and get after finishing the ceiling. So starting off working on a little kind of small door jamb to go up in the ceiling. So I made the 4 parts and I'm just right now hand planing the saw marks off. It's a quick, easy way to do it. It's a lot more fun than using a sander. And I wanted to see how well this thermally modified ash would hand plane, and it planed beautifully. Really no issues, no tear out in it. It's interesting how it kind of works a little bit differently than how normal ash would. It's a lot softer, so it's easy. It's not, I wouldn't say softer. It's just easier to cut. It's more of a crisp cut. So you can see here kind of how it comes together. Basically just 4 pieces. I glue and screw it together, you know, essentially just making a box, and this will go up in the ceiling, and this gives us access to the electronics for all the ceiling lights. So decor, scent, all that. We talked a little bit in the last video, and in the next video we're going to go more into the lighting of this deck. But basically it's a transformer and a dimmer and all the parts needed to convert the power source from 110 to 12 volt. And so I need to access that. And so this is going to give me the ability to do that. It's a way oversized for what I need, but I thought it would be better that way, and it's easier to build bigger than it is smaller. Just going to clamp it up in place and then screw it straight to the joist, the ceiling joist, and then we'll work around it with the tongue and groove. It's going to come flush, as you can kind of see right there, and have a kind of a nice clean look as everything kind of wraps around it, and then I'll put a little filler piece on the other side. So we just keep rolling here. You might notice the blue tape. I'm trying to cut it in a way that when I build the door, I can keep those drop off and label them, and then I can build the door and it'll all match and flow. Although I did this work like 4 months ago, and I couldn't tell you now where those pieces are. They're somewhere in my shop. We'll find them, but I still haven't built that door. It's probably one of those things that I probably won't get around to for a while. You know, further up the top of this ceiling, it obviously gets higher and higher, and it just gets more time consuming, more difficult. Also, we're working in the depths of the summer here, and in Texas it was really, really hot this summer. So it was just slow going, especially once I got past this beam, because I was on the extension ladder at that point and just having to move it every single piece I put up. I was able to put this ladder in the planter, which actually worked out pretty good. Kind of helped me do a 2-ladder system. I have to say that I am incredibly pleased with how this looks on the ceiling. I almost didn't do it on the ceiling, but I think it was a really wise decision, as it just looks awesome. And you can see here the last 2 pieces, not exactly easy at all to get in. This is slightly sketchy because I'm having to reach off the ladder and try to force that piece up in there. And it got even more difficult when I had to screw it in, because obviously if you've ever been on a ladder and used a drill, it's just a hard angle. You don't have anything to put force behind it. You're having to torque your body, a lot of core strength, and it was not easy to get that last piece in. That was a great feeling of relief getting this done. And the lights look awesome. I'll link the core. I'm going to keep linking them in the description so you can learn more about their product. They're the company that provide the lights. But honestly, what makes it is the beautiful wood grain on this wood. It just looks so cool. I love the way it looks. You're going to hear me say that a lot because I'm so happy with it. All right, so we make the big transition. We got the ceiling done, which is a huge load off my shoulders. That was a lot of work. We can move on now to the skirting. I got Travis back out. For those of y'all who have been following along, you've seen Travis do a lot of the framing for me. He's been a huge help in this deck build. Had a lot of fun working with him. And he's going to help me get this skirting framed out and then get the skirting installed. I'm going to link all of his info in the description. Well, he's a really talented home builder, also a fireman. He's a man of many skills and trades. So he built some awesome houses though, and I appreciate him taking his time to come out and offer up his skills to do this. Right now we're just cutting off those joists that we left hanging long. We figured out where we want our deck to terminate. It's basically kind of right inside the roof line. We were kind of locked into the original deck design because it all follows the roof. So once we get these cut, Travis is going to come in and kind of block off the ends. Now one issue we had, and we're going to talk more about this as we move into this further along in the video, These joists set out for a while, and we framed it out, and then it would sit for a month or two, and we didn't put any blocking in them, which I should have done, and they moved a little bit and did some crazies because it's treated lumber and it dries out in the Texas sun. It's going to 100% do some twisting and moving. So I think you need to keep the level with the track and move together.
Yeah. I'm kind of splitting that, so we probably have 1.5 inches here.
Okay. I think that'll work. We only get one shot at it.
Will the saw go past here a little bit, so you can cut till your saw hits that?
I have to move the track.
Okay.
Which isn't a big deal. I've done it before. You just slide it and keep it in line with your curve.
Gotcha.
And then I can.
You got to keep it pretty much all the way on the track. You don't want to start running off.
You can run off a little bit, but not much.
Okay.
I've never really tried it, but
I'll find out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want like some
I like
experimental
what you
cut
got
happening right here.
Yeah.
So we were kind of having a conversation there about how we were going to cut these, where we were going to terminate, and how the track works. Travis was asking me if I could run the saw off the track. I was like, that's probably not a great idea. You could probably do a little bit, but more than anything, these saws operate in the track. They're not really designed to be used independently on their own. But with the track, obviously, it works really well. I mean, it cuts a good, clean, straight line. We're going to have to do a little bit of work to finish up the cut. We're not going to build it. That track wasn't quite long enough to go the whole distance. So I'll jigsaw it here with my jigsaw, and then we're going to get a straight line board and just clamp it to the deck floor in line with the kerf from the track saw, and then we'll use a flush trimming bit with a palm router, and that'll finish off our cut. Okay, so now the framing can go in. You just can kind of see what we did. Just 16-inch on center studs, basically, with a base plate, and we notched them at the top, as you can tell, to kind of fit up under those filler boards that Travis put in, and then we'll screw it right in place. It will attach down to the footings as well, and it can also be bolted to the steel post. So it's going to be pretty secure once it's all set in place. While Travis is working on the skirting, I'm doing a little bit of work on the deck flooring to try to kind of continue it all the way to the edge. Here we're putting in the next section of framing for the skirting. You can see there's a big opening there. I had planned on making a kind of a drawer system to pull out and do storage, but I nixed that idea basically because I just didn't have the time to really execute that the way I wanted to do it. And so I just decided, you know what, I'll maybe come back and do that down the road. I don't need to do that now. So here we're going to get into some of the issues we had with the framing. I want to make a quick note again of the Thermory's decking. So these are all kind of shorter pieces. I think the longest piece we had was like a 7-footer. So that uses a JEM technology, which is a joint in match. It allows these boards to butt together on the ends and be solid. So you can butt them together in between the spans and they're rock solid. It looks great. So you don't need long boards. You get a really nice deck flooring with just the short boards. And I wanted to kind of reshare that because that's one of the great things about their product is not having to deal with the long boards, which just makes things cost more. It makes it harder to source it. Here you can get shorts, put it all together, and it works. You don't have to change anything in your system because of the way they design their end joints. So we're trying to get that last piece in there, kind of fighting it. I'm going to talk more about this here in a second, about what's going on. But yeah, we're having some issues with the framing being a little bit cattywampus. And we got this tiny little triangle piece to fit in right here. So it's just kind of an awkward spot to finish off. And you know, at this point, I'm just kind of like, hey, I'm trying to get all the gaps perfect to make everything look clean, but sometimes you just kind of got to do the best you can and keep moving. Trying to get things perfect can slow you down considerably. I've given up on trying to.
Okay. What happened to the piano?
I know. You can kind of tap into the
Yeah.
Let's plug. I'll finish those last two boards in some other time. So go ahead and notch those.
Yeah, you don't want to push that.
Yeah, that's time to call it. Okay, let's do a quick update on the deck. What's going on? Got the boys over here doing Pokemon. What's y'all's favorite card?
Joe Fox.
Cool. I don't know that one. What's your favorite card, buddy?
This guy.
Oh, wow. Snom. Got quite a bit accomplished, quite a bit done. The main deck is all pretty much done. We got the ends cut. We framed out here this kind of skirt board. Travis started working on framing out for the skirting, which, you know, it's a little bit tricky. There's some kind of just figured out as you go deals where he's kind of notch around that footing, and we've been able to bolt down to that footing, and we'll be able to attach here. Pretty solid as it is, pretty sturdy. So this gives us an attachment point for our skirting, which hopefully we'll start putting on today. Still got to carry this around and finish this side, and then the skirting will come around here and go to the house. So that's where we're at with the skirting. The one trouble we ran into is, I guess, probably a combination of things. These joists here, after sitting out for a while, they kind of done some moving. There was a little bit of they just weren't level anymore. And I kind of had to just work with it and figure it out. And since our skirt board is coming up past this, if this has got a lot of waviness in it, it's going to really show when you put that skirt board on. You're going to have to actually like flush trim your skirt board to it. And I don't know, that's not the way I wanted to do it. So I just kind of had to come in and really shim a lot in here to kind of level this out. There's a high spot right here. So this decking is on this joist, but you can see the change there. And the result of doing that actually creates a slight slope here at the end of the deck. So it's kind of a compromise. I got to get this flat. It's going to give me a little bit of a slope, but I'll live with it. So if you sight down that, I don't know if you can see, you know, that's pretty straight. It's way better than it was. So happy with that. I'm about to jump on this morning and start finishing up this section. I've got that step done. We added to the deck, we furred it out, so you can see that right here, to add one more piece right there so that it terminated on a full piece. It looks a lot better than having a little, there was like literally like 2 inches there. So that took a little bit of work last time Travis was out here. I'm not particularly proud of this little transition in here. I didn't really think this through very well. What I should have done probably is shimmed out this step to the edge of the concrete. Just didn't really think about it until I started cutting things. And once I cut these back, you know, I was committed. So it's all good. Can't be too overcritical of everything. So I've got those step boards in. I've got to cut out the risers and then just lay the rest of these deck boards, and this decking is done. So we're gonna get that knocked out today and get the skirting knocked out today. I hope, cross my fingers, we'll get all that done and basically left with railing. So we're gonna start putting the skirting in now. Now we've gone ahead and kind of figured out, we put together a run of boards and figured out what width we need to terminate almost perfectly at the top of the deck. So that way we got the same width. They're 5.5 on the face, these skirting boards. I'm gonna talk more about them in a second, and we want to make sure as we go up, we don't end up ripping like a 2 or 3 inch board at the very top of the deck. So we come down to what we know that measurement is. I think I marked a chalk line, and then we can put this first board in. We'll get it clamped in place and then screw it like we've done with all of our first runs on both the deck flooring and the ceiling to kind of lock in that first row. And you want, with this material, you want to work from the bottom up. And that was one thing that I had to figure out, because originally I wanted to just start from the top and go down, but but then your tongue would be reversed and you would get moisture catching in the groove. You want your tongue up so that your grooves are down, you don't get any water collecting down in your grooves. Now the great thing about this product is it's not only is it just like the flooring and the roof, it looks so cool, but it has a really good, awesome reveal. It has a 1/4 inch reveal all the way around. So it's a 5.5 on the face, 3/4 of an inch thick with a 1/2 inch tongue that leaves you a 1/4 inch reveal. I'm getting blasted by lightsabers here. My kids like Star Wars. So with that in mind, as we go around, and Travis is coming in behind me, we've got little 1/4 inch, I think they're 1/4 or 3/16, honestly can't remember, spacers that are going to space our boards. So we'll put those spacers in, drop our next board on, and then we actually screw it into the tongue like we did on the ceiling. So it's all, there's no real screws that you see. They're all fairly hidden. You can kind of catch them in between that gap there, but if you keep them in line, it looks fine. And they're not on the face, which makes a big difference. So we're going to work this skirting all the way around and return it back to the house. So you get a good shot there of those spacers and how it works. You can see Travis putting the screws in through the tongue. And it's just, as we continue doing this, you're going to see just how cool this stuff looks. It's got a really nice look to it. We're running this around the deck with a matching miter. And obviously we got to keep the grain flowing. So we're going to have kind of a cool look as it comes around these. It's got these 2 angles it's got to turn around. And we're just going to match that miter. Now when I do the miters, I do leave just a bit of a gap in between my miters. I don't push the boards tight together. For one, I think that helps just make it easier. You can kind of sand it a little bit and things are going to move. You're never going to keep a tight miter in an exterior application. Another thing is if you've got them butted together, you're creating a place for moisture to kind of gather in there and potentially rot. So I just leave a slight gap. I think it looks better. And you can see how clean that looks with that wrap around. You got the grain flowing. This is going to be a cool look when we're done with it. So we'll get a little time lapse going of the action, kind of see how this is all coming together. It's so cool to watch this deck start to get finished out. And what I love about this is just the material is what makes it so beautiful. The deck flooring, the deck ceiling, it all flows together, but every piece is, each one of those components is a little bit different style. You got the tongue and groove on the ceiling, you got the big heavy deck boards on the floor that have the JEM joints, and then you've got this side skirting that has the 1/4 inch reveal. It all looks so cool together. It's really, it truly is exciting to see it kind of coming together. All the hard work is starting to pay off. So here we're getting close to the top, and you can kind of see how the layout worked out really well. So that we got one more row to go above this one, and it'll pretty much leave a 1/2 inch hanging over. We'll have to go to the shop and rip off. Here I'm sanding back, like I mentioned, sanding back those miters, just rounding the edges a little bit. We don't want sharp edges there to catch anything, because we are leaving that 1/16 of an inch gap between the pieces. Now, I was surprised as we laid these out, we really didn't have any issues staying on plane, staying level. As our spacers worked perfectly, and as we went up, everything kind of stayed in line all the way around as you wrap around the skirt of this deck. So it's just, I think that's really a testament to how well the material is milled. Now you can see this final corner where we wrap back to the house. We've got the door jamb in place. We're just putting in these little filler pieces going up, and this part was really pretty easy until you got to the top section. You had to kind of work around some brackets and just had some tricky parts you had to cut out. The deck now has become a fort for my kids now that I've built the door opening on it. So my kids now have taken over and they hang out under there, and that's kind of their space. Doesn't surprise me one bit. So getting in on the last row here, as I mentioned earlier, we're just slightly proud of the decking, and we're gonna bring the skirting up to the level of the deck. It's just the decision I made. I thought it's a good, clean look. Basically, what I'm having to do is you lay out, cut the miter, then I go up to the shop, and most of these I could rip on the table saw. Some of them had a slight taper from one end to the next. We kind of scribed it, and I would go to the bandsaw and make a good cut along my scribe, and then clean it up with the hand plane. Now, it's important to say at this point in the video, it's middle of the Texas summer. I think we're probably working in 105 to 110 degree weather. We're both just worn out at this point, end of the day, hot. But I gotta get this last row done, man. I'm so close, and it's just, I mean, when you look at this, it looks so cool. I just love the way it looks. I've said that so many times, but and then we got these last boards. As we come around this last corner, we're just gonna butt these. We're not gonna miter the last corner just because that's a 45, an aggressive angle, and you know that's a walkway where people are walking. Someone hits that, they're just gonna bust the miter. So we just left it at 90 and butted those up. I was fine with that. I think it looks fine. And the last board we finally get locked in, and this is as far as we're gonna take it. It looks great. We got a lot more to do still, but for the skirting, man, that was a lot of work, but it was worth all the effort because it looks incredible. Okay, so that's going to close it down for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think. In the next series, we're getting real close to finishing this deck up, and I'm excited to share. I still actually have more work to do on it, but we're going to do all the post and railing. I'm going to use longleaf pine, reclaimed longleaf pine for the railing, and then a cabling system inside of that, which came out looking really, really awesome. So that's actually pretty time intensive process because I fabbed all the railing myself in the shop. Just basically took it out of rough boards. So we're going to go through that whole process, and you'll get to see how the railing goes on. And hope you are excited about that. Hope you stay tuned. Like I said, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you next time.